Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us here. Let's take a look at the front pages of the newspapers, which goes right next. And we do have Mr. Lucius, who joins us here. It's been a long time. The last time I saw him.
Sesan Okunade.
Oh, okay, accountant.
Because these days in Nigeria, people don't want to be left out.
Okay,
they
maybe
like titles. I've seen pharmacist.
So if you want
architect.
to put it, maybe we'll just say chartered accountant. So
Thank you. Not just ordinary.
Wenga.
I apologize.
Please, let's take it
Chartered
again.
accountant. Journalist Olive, what paper are we starting?
Okay, thank you very much, broadcaster Benga. Meanwhile, even it's the same thing. When I was in law school, I thought it was a barrister is not a title. So you would say, Mr. For example, I'm Miss Olive, but even if I'm a lawyer,
Esquire.
Barrister.
Esquire.
Calm down. We like titles too much.
Is it easy to pass by? Is it easy to pass by?
It's not easy.
Chief doctor.
And is it easy to be chartered?
I've seen instances where you want to introduce someone and you missed out the doctor, or you say associate professor, and it's
so those
like
ones are different.
Okay.
Those educational ones, yes.
PhD, yes.
Yes.
But where did you get the doctorate degree from?
That's why I said educational ones, not those doctors that collected doctorates in Cotonou.
Yeah, honorary
doctorate.
doctorate.
People wake up these days and decide to add doctor to their bio.
To their, yeah, so
I can now wake up and
it's about title in this.
So you're
country.
chartered, you have FC at the back of your name.
That one is like putting your Esquire. So
That's
you
right.
put FCA, FCTI for those in tax practitioners.
That's right.
We're honored to
Those
have
are
a
the-
chartered accountant.
Anyway, thank you for being
your
here, chartered
status.
accountant. Let's go straight into the story. Let's put up the Punch. That's our first paper for this morning. The Punch newspaper has a story. Lamido Turaki Makarafi lead PDP chairman race. Northwest PDP set to pick consensus chair as party zoning favors region. Party set for convention. Even though someone said they stole his signature. Sanwo-Olu, Fashola Ambode, Lagos, APC endorse President Bola
The
Ahmed
question
Tinubu's
here is, do
re-election.
they have any other choice? This former governor.
Why are you asking me? Okay, let's go to this one. Presidency can clash over Christian genocide claim. It's a conversation we're going to have extensively tomorrow. Yes, we'll have this conversation, especially the reporter who covered the entire thing and put out the report that has gathered a lot of views and conversations too. Niger governor mourns as 35 killed in tanker explosion. Presidential pardon, AGF orders multi-agency probe. I'd like you to start with that one, but before you do, let's take some more. I'd like to finish the stories on the front pages as well. Diri delays APC move amid Silva Lokobiri power talks. Let's see another one here. It says Amukwita resumes next week ahead of Anambra poll. Another one says MDA's under fire as federal government probes TSA violations. And hit and run driver kills Lagos director days before retirement. This is sad. Very sad story as well. But let's start with this one. Presidential pardon. AGF orders multi-agency probe. What's your take on this? I'm sure you've been following this 175 names.
Joe, it's a laughable thing if you ask me. What are we probing? Why do we like to bear the cat before the horse? This, we expect that before we have the assent of Mr. President, due investigation, criticism, even having understanding, explaining, defending, let me put it that way, when you take certain things to your managing director that, requires his assent, questions are being asked. The reason why you are actually pardoning now is generating, a lot of controversies. Why certain set of people should not be, granted pardon. I read one snippet about the family of late hero, about Macaulay criticizing, attaching, criminality to the leader. And you ask yourself the question, did we follow due diligence to act? So when we now probe the people that Mr. President have assented to to grant, amnesty or to be given pardon? Are you going to revert the status quo in such a way that you now say they are no longer pardoned? These are lapses we've been observing in terms of some of the policies. This is just one. There are times you see, look at the one that generated issue. I was asking people whether you're going to step down mathematics for those in art class and the likes. All of a sudden we heard that, okay, that is actually been reverted. This is the status quo you need it. And you ask yourself the question, how do we put out information without validating, authenticating, and saying that we have the best of it here? I'm waiting for the result of this probe. If you ask
because
me.
there was no rush. The public didn't.
We didn't even know that there was
anything about
anything going
confusion
on in the
of that
background. Yeah.
Why do you come to the public with information that is not verified? So,
Well, until when let's have the, even the probe is an interesting thing in the country. You're going to set up committee to actually do this, and definitely, I wish they would enroll Joe to be part of those panel.
Well,
Because,
I wish they did, but it's so unfortunate and pathetic that.
No, sincerely speaking.
What were we saying? What was the question we had asked here on breakfast? That can you pardon?
You can't
the
unpardon
pardon?
a pardon.
Can you unpardon the pardon?
I think
pardon?
that's
You can't unpardon a pardon.
I beg your
no,
pardon.
it's gone. So the fact that we want to now probe into it, I'm actually awaiting what the result will look like after the probe, possibly to justify some of the questions people are actually raising out there. But it doesn't speak well of us that we don't, carry out due, before we actually give. Because most of the time, I will tell in the video that care to listen, you take certain things to the head of, organization. They believe so much in certain set of people when they bring those documentation to them. So they just assent based on the fact that, no, Joe brought this documentation to me and the likes. I expect that you have done a thorough job. Let me assent some of this signature to it. And you wonder, after the assent has actually been made, somebody is now asking the question to say, no, this is not actually being done. It's wrong. We need to revisit the issue. We need to see how those things actually happen. It's disappointing, but I actually, as a person, I'm waiting for the result of this it's not an agency probe. It's multi-agency. So different set of people possibly who made submission for the assent of Mr. President. And I have this to say, that if you have the outcome of this, I think it must rule. Because the major problem we've been having is there are no consequences for wrongdoing, and everybody feel they can do whatever they like.
They say to err is human, so, I mean...
To forgive is divine.
Forgive is
Are you buying chance quoting Abike Dabiri?
maybe.
It's
But she's
like
not the
it's
first
like
person that will say.
No, she's not the first person, of course.
And she won't be the last.
Never.
That's what we hear.
Just to read the line before we conclude and move to another story. It says, involved in the probe of the list are the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission,
Yes.
National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, and the police. The exercise may result in more than half of the nominees being dropped.
So when you now
huge,
drop so
a huge
no,
indictment.
Now listen to this line. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is said to be awaiting the submission of the vetted.
Wow.
Vetted. Tomorrow I'm going to specially cut that interview. Short, I'll cut it today and put it
I
out there on
think
social media.
he needs to come back.
So that, no, we need to invite the SA
Yes.
to the president. Also. He needs to come back. So that, I think it's a humbling experience, especially for him. He's a senior colleague of mine. It's a humbling experience that when you have attained a certain position in power and your fellow colleague asks you, who, of course, is also a journalist, and then you tell him you're asking a question that doesn't make sense. Now,
Have you not been vindicated?
has it not been?
No, you are yet to be vindicated. No, you are yet to be vindicated.
Not yet. Let's wait.
When they come, you see one
I
thing
think we'll
about
invite him
people
when
out
the
there.
list is out.
You see, part of the problem we are faced with, where you see people high up there, so-called professional, most especially in this media organization, this tends to carry this ego, looking down on. One thing they keep they forget is the younger generation today have deeper understanding beyond. Majority of them never know what they call digital journalism. People have gone far.
Yeah.
I always tell individuals, gone are those days as a pastor, you start before the pulpit and you start dishing out, certain things you call ministration. You see a young guy that has done research, where all the apparatus is, and he's asking you questions.
What's even more interesting is that some churches, like my church, has now taken the extra mile that after service, there's question and answer. So you have a right to query what the pastor said.
So which was not obtainable in those days. So when you see a journalist asking you questions, the fact remains that if care is not taken, they've gone several steps ahead of you before that question was actually being asked. So, but let's wait, at least with this coming to say about 50% of them will go back.
Just before I hand over to Olive for the next paper, just on the same topic, I'm sorry, I'm so interested in this story now.
Is everybody
I'm interested because
everybody?
It's as if someone says this list passed through the AGF's office. So why is it that?
Who is the #1 law advisor to the president?
So why would you put it on the state's website? It's on the state's website. It's there, listing everybody who have been pardoned. Even the SSA, Mr. Bayo Nonuga, put it out on his tweet, listing everybody and putting reasons why they have been pardoned.
I'm not standing.
Is he going to take it down? I need to even check if he has taken it down.
I'm not going to stand the gap. It's still boiled down to the fact that when you don't deal with certain set of people that are supposed, AGF must have assent to some of these things without questioning, believing that the person that brought the documentation to him is fine. And Mr. President looked at AGF. This is my #1 man that is to protect and interpret the law for me. He must have done a thorough job. And that's why for me, if we come out and discover that what they said, they are like 75%
Maybe
off.
some lowly aides head will roll, but I don't think it would affect any higher ups. And that's what breeds this culture of impunity that we see, which is unfortunate. This has embarrassed Mr. President and the Office of the Presidency, and it just reveals how thorough they are in dealing with.
Well, I can assure you that they will come back with a defense to all this, and we'll definitely forget about it.
Okay.
Anyway.
Any defense that they have, they should take to the defense headquarters.
So let's take a look at that front page of the Punch newspaper one more time.
I was about to move to the Nigerian Tribune.
Before we move to the Nigerian Tribune, because this is Mr. Okunade's space. He deals with figures and money. MDA is under fire as federal government probes TSA violations. When the Treasury single account model was introduced, we thought it was foolproof, that this is a way of curbing ghost workers and corruption. So what's really going on? How is it possible to violate? Is it that some agencies are refusing to onboard the TSA? Or what's really going on here?
You see, my interpretation to this, when with acts of probe, is when you have a policy in place, most of the time, a lot of people don't like to rely on. For me, I don't think this administration believes so much in the TSA initiated by the last administration. Otherwise, there are lacuna, there are lapses where people are not actually following through. And that is where we call out the Accountant General of the Federation and the Auditor General of the Federation, because they are actually out there to guide and see how we monitor that people follow, people comply, let me put it, that's the word we use, comply to the set rules as regarding how funds are actually being launched and actually being disbursed. Well, what I feel will be happening here is people are using different other means to carry out this operation without following it, because they will tell you that the bottleneck, once money enter into the account, is difficult to come out. So they look for shortcuts to see how to manage situation in such a way to have access to that funds. And that's why the Auditor General of the Federation is there to see through to some of the books that is actually being kept by some of these NDAs, query it and punish those that are actually, deviating from the set rules. But most of the time, like you keep saying, the lower cadre can be punished for it, either to step down. But the big boss that is supposed to have the oversight function of some of these things would definitely be excused. And that's why we'll continue to have the problem that we are faced with.
Okay, let's go to the Nigerian Tribune and see what the front page is saying. Why Nigeria should not be designated country of concern according to Bishop Kuka. Says Obama administration slowed down fight against Boko Haram under Jonathan. Designation will hurt Nigeria more, he adds. This is, of course, surrounding the statement about Christians in Nigeria being targeted, and Bishop Kuka is reminding of the time that arms were not being sold to to Nigeria because of certain laws.
Under the Leahy laws in
the
America,
Leahy laws, exactly.
It says you shouldn't sell arms to a country that
is not upholding human rights.
Yes, dodgy human rights record. You wonder why they're still sponsoring Israel, because if you're talking about the mother of all violation of human rights,
Israel is
the number one
temple.
Yes, the standard.
Okay. Still on the front page, Lagos director dies few days to retirement, 60th birthday party to be buried Friday. It's really sad. Condolences to the family. Insecurity, Edo government to regulate activities of scavengers, scrap dealers. Tinubu nominates Doro as minister, forwards the name to Senate. Health, breakthrough blood tests could spot dozens of cancer before symptoms appear, according to researchers. If I were to be asked, what's the one sickness you want to cure in this life? It would be cancer, because there's so much. I mean, cancer is such a terrible sickness, and it feels like, anyway, I don't want to go into the details of that.
But that's some positive news there.
Yeah.
I believe we have a call. Julius, could you speak to us, please? Good morning. Julius from Edo. Go ahead and make your submission, please.
Good morning. How are you?
Very well, thank you, Julius.
Good morning, Julius from Benin.
Julius,
heard
can you please turn down the volume of your TV set as you continue your comment? Thank you.
Okay, I will do just that. My worry now is I've done that already. You talked, your guest there talked about reviewing an already pardoned list of Nigeria. It's so worrisome. You know, it is normally said that the Queen does no wrong. If she does, people must be held responsible. You know, I am of the opinion that the Attorney General should quietly resign so that he can still maintain part of his integrity. Because that list has been approved by the Council of State. That list has been approved by the President. How can you review a list that has been approved? People that have been granted pardon, you want to take them back?
Pardon the pardon.
It's going to be very, very dicey, quite honestly. I feel an error has been committed. Those who are responsible for such error should be held responsible. Thank you. There are so many issues you are discussing. I don't want to bother you. This is the one I want to...
You're not a bother. You can never bother us.
Thank you so much.
Thank
you very
Julius.
much.
Thanks for sharing.
You can never bother us, bother Julius. Okay, let's come back to the front pages. Tanker explosion kills 35, injures 46 in Niger. Really sad.
Again, the same deja vu with
a committee was set up. Do you remember?
Yes.
At the National
what's the
Assembly.
result of the committee?
A committee was set
So
up at the
we
National
go
Assembly.
through the same ritual over and over again until the next one happens. So maybe even us here, we should...
After the one that happened in Agbo, I remember vividly. We were sitting here. I was sitting in on this same seat, this same side. Agbo. A committee was set up after the one that happened in Agbo, the explosion. And that committee, they were given how many days? I don't want to go online, but I know I have it. I remember it. I remember. And they were told to look into the incidences. Henceforth, they should ensure that they stop any further explosion from occurring or happening.
Should we just resign to fate and say, look, just like the sun is bound to rise in the east, tanker explosions are bound to happen, and sadly we can't do anything about it. It's our normal reality. We should just pray that you are not one of the victims, because that's the message this is passing.
Yeah, Benga, you see, we cannot allow anomalies to be normal. This is abnormal, and we cannot just allow that to be. First and foremost, aside the agencies responsible for managing of some of these tankers and trucks, we need to speak to our people also. Most of the time we talked about the greedy elites, the greedy leaders, even the followers. I know a lot of people will say, when people are suffering, why would you want to risk your life? I read a little about that story, and it's about people scooping fuel. You know, you feel you want to take out of it and go and sell to make ends meet. And here you are, you cannot. And you know the interesting thing, people will go there with their phones, people will go there with lighter, some will even be smoking not too far from it.
So you see, are you saying that it's not necessarily a poverty problem as opposed to also people not just being properly informed?
Maybe I would say awareness. I would not take poverty as 100%, because if it's poverty, why do we have the high and mighty that are actually administering some of our finances, misappropriating it and diverting it?
Is the problem the people scooping the fuel, or why this tanker should even spill its contents in the first place?
Well, being an accident can happen. I will always put that. It's orientating the mind of people. That's why when issues like this happen, what is the response rate of those saddled with the responsibility? If it is in the same climb, I'm sure you've traveled most of the time, when issues like this happen, the response time from either the fire agency or the light is within the speed of time. 1-2 minutes, they've cordoned all the area that people are not having access to it, and that brings that safety.
It prevents human beings from,
you know, interfering, and that
exactly.
can. So accident, I always say accident can happen. Even the vehicle you are actually driving, something somewhere can happen unknowingly after doing all that you have done. But I'm of the opinion that the agencies responsible, how swiftly do we respond when issues like this happen, to cordon the area for people not to have access of either scooping or, you know, saying that this is the area where
I'm
to
glad
go.
we're having this conversation. Let's talk about the failures here. Maybe bad road, number one, culprit. Tanker spills its contents. Number two is that the emergency services response time to cordon off the area and prevent the content from leaking or spreading and causing further damage.
Yeah.
Then number three problem, the human being. Where do you start from? Which is the most important factor, the human factor. How do you begin to tell a grown adult that fuel is highly combustible, that it can end your life, and if there's a little spark, it will consume you? Is it that poverty or hunger that is pushing you to
act without common sense?
Act without, basically risking your life.
Yes.
Benga, it is not poverty, it is greed.
Okay, how do you address that?
The issue there is, if you ask people that are, you know, culpable of this act now, some people will still come that same location. If same thing happened there tomorrow, people will still go there to go and scoop, because we have this mentality. Let me quickly galvanize from it.
Can you even save or?
Because something that is actually, you know, moving either in the drainage, how much can you make? You see, when you don't value your life, you feel that having that money is much more important than your life. This is what you get.
I mean, you've just said it all.
When you don't, if you value your life, if you see issues like this about to happen, the first thing you do is to run away from it. But when greed has actually taken over your psyche, what you're able out to do is, this is an opportunity to quickly make money, and you end your life daring. I think even if you enlighten people from now till tomorrow, that mentality of greed needs to be addressed, and I feel that our agency concerned for this emergency should always swing to action. But I know the question will be, how much funding are they actually getting to actually mobilize people to attend to this swiftly?
Okay, all right.
Okay, let's just take a few more.
We missed out a very important story.
I want to talk the Free Nnamdi Kanu story.
No, on the Punch newspaper, top right corner. Yes, it's about Diri delaying APC move amid Silva Lokobiri power talks. Is it that he's perhaps considering a change of mind to this transfer window? Because, for example, you look at Newcastle United, they sold Isak. Isak was a top player for Newcastle United. They sold him to Liverpool. Now it's like the engine is knocking in Liverpool. He's not performing. So maybe I've seen what has happened to former PDP governors that have decamped and is having cold feet, as they call it, or we're making a mountain out of a molehill. Is this a done deal?
As far as I'm concerned, I will continue to say all those politicians, they know how to play their game. We don't know as much as they know. When political party lacks ideology, people can be in a party in the morning, take breakfast with them, add lunch with some in the afternoon, and end up taking dinner in the evening, because it's about myself, and myself alone. And a lot of us have actually raised concerns to say, if you are decamping, can we come out to carry out election to test your popularity? You cannot ride on a particular party to be on a particular post, and you are leaving that post and leaving the people that you actually came from.
They're decamping for reasons. They say their party is in internal crisis.
And then
they are forging signatures here and there, and they want to plug in.
To the center.
Plug into the center implies that as you are voluntarily resigning from that party that brought you to limelight, you should step down on that particular position to say we cannot continue.
That's the moral.
So which
They tell you it's not in the Constitution.
Okay, if it's not in the Constitution, can you be morally, obliged to that particular thing? It's superseding.
Our viewers. Constitution states that if your party is going through a crisis,
you
can use that as an excuse
to quickly jump and fly ship, not jump, fly.
Into
a new
any party that you want to
let me rephrase it. So if you leave your political party, the vehicle upon which you came into an office for another political party, you should be ready to vacate that seat, unless of course you can prove that you can say that there was crisis in your previous political party. But unfortunately, we've seen in many cases, Rivers State, the Rivers State speakers, they moved from one party to another, moved back to their party, nothing happened. So it's become the norm. And that seems like a constitutional loophole that needs to be tightened.
There's a lacuna.
There is a lacuna, a vacuum.
Yeah, it's what we keep saying. When that happened in Rivers, a lot of us criticized by saying, okay, what was actually the problem that made the people decamp from PDP in Rivers to APC? Because their leader is still in PDP, and they are at the other side. So how can you be working from two sides? And the politics that we actually is because I would say lack of ideology. Those days when you see
a unique model of democracy.
Okay, that's the civilized way of democracy.
Where in a Nigerian climate.
In a Nigerian, okay.
Yes.
Because you cannot be from two sides and be operating. If the idea, if you see a Republican, mere him standing, you know that this is a Republican. Even from his speech, the way he addressed it,
same analogy, ideology.
Their ideology is actually
the politics of ideology in Nigeria.
That's the problem. So it's about politics of interest.
The political parties, they don't have ideology. A number of them don't have ideology.
They have manifestos, but can they even recite what they've written?
Yeah, right.
Because the scriptwriter actually wrote that, at least for somebody to. So because if it's about ideology, you won't wake up one day and feel that there are crises there. What you try to do is that we are of like minds. How can we resolve this issue because we are here and are here we all die together?
How do you even begin to have ideology when you are still dealing with I'm going to clean gutter, I'm going to build road, we're going to fix our universities, we'll fix street lights. So your ideology is first fix survival, exactly, the basics. Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Well,
food, water, clothing, and shelter.
Thank you for joining us this morning. It's always great to have you. Thank you to our virtual audience. I can see some of your comments. Annie Chinedu Brown, thank you for the shout out. He says, when criminals make laws for the citizens, the dishonest will be vindicated and rewarded.
Olive, how did Annie Chinedu give a shout out?
Oh!
That's a shout
I thought I was mad. But you guys watched that me. You had
give Joe a shout out.
Were you born during were you born in December?
I was born during environmental sanitation.
Oh, I thought you were born in December because of the Harmattan season. You are very dry. This is how we wrap the show. Thank you very much for joining us. And I want to wrap the show up with some good news. A friend of mine, Lara Teshala, after waiting for 11 or 12 years, has delivered a baby. She's a mother. And congratulations to Lara. I'm so excited. On behalf of all of us here, I want to wish you a wonderful life as a mother. Until we come your way again, this is Breakfast Central. Jasiri comes up next. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a wonderful rest of the day.
Bye-bye. And shout out to my good friend, Joe.